The morning of my son's wedding should have been the happiest day of my life. I opened my eyes, expecting excitement, nerves, and a bit of joy, but instead, I felt something cold and foreign against my scalp. My hand shot up and my heart stopped. My hair, every single strand, was gone, completely bald. Panic surged through me. I scrambled to the mirror, the reflection staring back at me unrecognizable. Tears blurred my vision. My husband woke with a groan at my scream, confusion etching his face. "What happened?" he asked, his voice thick with sleep. I don't know," I stammered, panic tightening around my chest. My hands trembled as I ran them over my head, feeling only the smooth, bare skin where my hair used to be. How could this happen overnight? Then I noticed it, something metallic poking from my daughter-in-law's purse on the table nearby. My hands shook as I pulled it out, a pair of scissors, with strands of hair still clinging to the blades. My stomach churned. She had done this, planned it, but why? I replayed every interaction from the past weeks. The subtle digs, her exaggerated helpfulness, the lingering questions about my hair and appearance. And then it clicked. Weeks ago, I had mentioned a special hair treatment I planned for the wedding. She must have heard. She had been watching, scheming, and now she had struck. Outside, the birds sang and the sun rose, bright and unfeeling. Inside, my world had collapsed. The wedding, which should have been a celebration, felt like a battlefield. I realized, with a shiver, that this was only the beginning. Whoever did this had planned it meticulously, and they weren't done yet. I could barely breathe as the house buzzed with activity. The wedding was hours away, but every cheerful sound felt like a mockery of my nightmare. My husband paced nervously, whispering reassurances I didn't hear. I couldn't focus on him, on the decorations, or the floral arrangements. All I could think about was the scissors, the bald reflection in the mirror, and the terrifying thought that someone close to me had orchestrated this. My eyes kept darting toward my daughter-in-law. She was helping the caterers, smiling at everyone, laughing in a way that seemed just a little too practiced. Her eyes met mine once, a spark of something I couldn't identify, pride, satisfaction, or malice. I had to figure it out before the chaos escalated further. I remembered the moment weeks ago when I had confided in her about my special hairdo for the wedding. She had reacted strangely, an odd smile, a quick change of subject. Could she have been jealous? Or did she feel threatened by my presence? I realized with a sinking feeling that this was her motive: envy, control, and the desire to humiliate me in front of the family. The first guests began arriving, their chatter and laughter contrasting sharply with the storm inside me. I plastered a fake smile on my face, nodding and welcoming them while my mind raced. Every glance at my daughter-in-law made my pulse spike. Could she have been spying on me for weeks, monitoring my routines, planning every detail? I resolved that I needed answers, but carefully. Accusing her outright could explode the wedding into disaster. Yet waiting silently meant she could continue her sabotage. I had to stay alert, track every movement, and catch her before she struck again. The day had begun as a celebration, but by now, suspicion had poisoned every moment. And deep down, I knew this was only the start of a dangerous, carefully planned betrayal. I tried to focus on something familiar: my dress. It had been chosen months ago, elegant, timeless, a symbol of joy for this monumental day. But now, as I held it in my trembling hands, I realized nothing could distract from the emptiness where my hair used to be. The wig I had hastily borrowed from a friend felt flimsy and unnatural, and no amount of pins or clips could make me feel like myself. My daughter-in-law appeared at the doorway, offering to help with the final touches. "Here, let me fix that for you," she said, her voice sweet, but I caught the glint of something calculating in her eyes. Every movement, every gesture, seemed rehearsed, almost predatory. I had a sinking feeling that she wasn't just being helpful. She was watching, gauging my reactions, testing me. I remembered her subtle comments over the past weeks, the questions about my hair care, the way she lingered near my bedroom when she just happened to walk by. My heart pounded as I pieced it together. She had planned this. She wanted to humiliate me, to assert control, to make me feel powerless in front of the family and guests. I refused her help and took a deep breath. I wouldn't let her ruin this day entirely. I positioned the wig myself, adjusted the dress, and tried to hold my composure. But every step toward the mirror reminded me of the betrayal. The scissors in her purse weren't just tools. They were symbols of her envy and audacity. As the minutes ticked by, I knew I had to stay vigilant. The wedding would continue, but I couldn't let my guard down. She was nearby, observing, scheming. And somewhere deep inside, I realized that this confrontation wasn't just about hair. It was a test of power, patience, and courage. The day of celebration had already become a battlefield, and I had to be ready for whatever came next. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Every movement of my daughter-in-law seemed deliberate. Calculated, her forced smiles, casual glances, and lingering hands brushing over my belongings all screamed deception. Panic mingled with determination. I had to find proof before the day spiraled completely out of control. I began retracing my steps from the past week. The odd questions about my hair care, the way she had offered to help while hovering near my bedroom, even her sudden interest in my morning routine. It all clicked. She had been tracking me, gathering information, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And now she had executed her plan flawlessly. The scissors, my bald reflection, my humiliation. I examined the room meticulously, searching for anything I might have missed. Hidden notes, forgotten tools. Perhaps she had left a clue, a slip in her careful plan. Then I noticed a small strand of hair stuck in the corner of the vanity drawer. Too neat to be accidental. My stomach dropped. She had been inside my personal space, handling my belongings, learning the rhythm of my life. Every moment of the morning suddenly felt like a trap I had walked into blindly. I realized that if I didn't act carefully, the entire wedding could be ruined. But anger burned inside me alongside fear. I wouldn't be her victim, not today. I resolved to confront her strategically, to catch her in the act or at least expose her intentions, without letting the entire family descend into chaos. She thought she could control me, humiliate me, and manipulate the day, but I was determined to fight back. The wedding guests were arriving outside, unaware of the brewing storm. Inside, the tension grew like a silent hurricane. I could feel it in the air, the betrayal, the jealousy, the carefully laid trap. And I knew one thing for certain: this was only the beginning. The first guests began arriving, their chatter and laughter floating through the house like a cruel reminder of the celebration I was supposed to enjoy. I plastered on a smile, greeting relatives and friends, while my heart pounded in my chest. Every compliment about my appearance felt hollow, every question about my hair an invisible jab. My daughter-in-law moved among the guests, smiling graciously, appearing helpful, yet her eyes kept flicking toward me. The purse with the scissors, her silent weapon, remained tucked neatly under her arm. I could feel her watching, gauging my reactions, savoring my discomfort. She had planned this meticulously, and now she was enjoying the performance of her own making. I caught snippets of whispers. Did she really cut her hair? Why is she bald? And I felt a surge of fury. She wanted me humiliated in front of the family, to be the center of attention for all the wrong reasons. But I refused to let her control me. I straightened my shoulders, lifted my chin, and decided to face the day with as much dignity as I could muster. Every movement of my daughter-in-law's hands, every tilt of her head felt like a signal. She wanted me to break, to reveal my panic. But I stayed composed, carefully scanning the room for any further evidence of her plotting. I noticed a faint strand of hair on her blouse, a tremor in her hand as she poured wine for the guests. Small, almost imperceptible signs, but enough to confirm my suspicions. The celebration was supposed to be a joyful event, yet the air felt electric with tension. I realized that to survive this day, I couldn't just react emotionally. I had to be strategic, patient, and ready to expose her plan at the right moment. She had underestimated me, thinking that humiliation would break me. But I was determined to turn this betrayal into my own triumph. By now, the tension had become unbearable. I could no longer watch her manipulate the room and the guests without doing something. I needed answers, and I needed them now. I waited until she slipped away from the crowd, her purse still clutched close, and followed her into a quiet hallway. "Why did you do this?" I demanded. My voice low but firm. My hands trembled. Though I fought to hide it, she looked startled, as if caught off guard, but then a nervous laugh escaped her lips. I didn't mean to hurt you," she stammered. But I knew better. The scissors in her purse, the strands of hair, the careful timing, it was all intentional. My eyes narrowed. "Tell me the truth. Now, did you cut my hair? Why?" Her face paled slightly, but she tried to maintain composure. Then, almost involuntarily, she confessed. Jealousy. She feared I would outshine her in the family, that my presence would make her role as the bride's mother secondary. Her plan wasn't just about my hair. It was about control, about dominance, about asserting herself as the center of attention on a day that should have celebrated love and unity. I felt a mix of rage and disgust. To think that someone could betray me so personally, so publicly, on the day my son was supposed to marry the love of his life. It was almost too much to bear. But I reminded myself of one thing: I was stronger than her schemes. I took a deep breath and said, "You won't ruin this day, not for me. Not for anyone. I'll expose your actions. But I will not stoop to your level." Her lips pressed into a thin line. She knew I had caught her, and for the first time, I saw a flicker of fear in her eyes. The game had shifted. The confrontation had shaken her, but the damage wasn't fully done yet. I could sense her plotting even in her silence, her every glance calculating the next move. I realized I had to dig deeper. There were likely more secrets she was hiding, more ways she had tried to sabotage not just me, but the entire wedding. I waited for the right moment, when she thought no one was watching, and carefully checked her purse, hidden beneath napkins and a small makeup kit. I found a folded note. Unfolding it, my eyes widened in disbelief. She had been documenting every single detail of her plan, when she had spied on me, which rooms she had entered, the times she had observed my morning routines. Even minor incidents, she considered evidence of my supposed arrogance. The motive was worse than I imagined. She had felt threatened by my presence, worried that I would overshadow her as the important woman in the family. Her jealousy had driven her to meticulously plan this humiliation. She hadn't just cut my hair. She had intended to control every aspect of the wedding day, seating arrangements, the catering, even subtle social interactions among the guests. I felt a surge of anger, but also clarity. Every awkward smile, every helpful gesture, every intrusive question over the past weeks now made sense. She had been waiting for the perfect moment to strike, and she had nearly succeeded. Yet now, with her notes in my hands, I held the power. I didn't need to scream or make a scene. I simply needed to stay composed, expose the truth at the right time, and ensure she couldn't manipulate anyone again. As the wedding continued around us, I realized something. The battle wasn't over, but the advantage had shifted. The daughter-in-law's carefully laid trap had been discovered, and I was no longer the victim. I was ready to fight back. The truth didn't remain hidden for long. I discreetly shared the evidence with my son, showing him the detailed notes and the scissors she had tried to hide. His face paled, a mix of anger and disbelief crossing his features. He couldn't believe that someone he trusted could go to such lengths to sabotage his mother on his wedding day. Word began to ripple quietly through the family. Close relatives noticed my composure, the way I had handled the morning's chaos without breaking down. Whispers circled, some in disbelief, some in admiration. The daughter-in-law, once confident and smug, started to falter. Her carefully curated image of control was crumbling. The guests remained largely unaware of the full extent of her sabotage. But the atmosphere had shifted. Where there had been polite excitement, tension now hummed beneath the surface. Every interaction with her felt fraught with unspoken accusations. I realized she had underestimated the strength of composure and dignity. My refusal to react emotionally had given me leverage. I didn't want to publicly shame her. Not yet. That would have escalated into chaos. Instead, I kept my distance, observing her reactions, noting her anxiety as she tried to maintain the illusion of normalcy. Her plan to humiliate me in front of the family was failing because I refused to play her game. By the time the ceremony began, I felt a quiet sense of triumph. The daughter-in-law's sabotage had been exposed, her intentions revealed, and the family was beginning to understand the gravity of her actions. My son's wedding was still happening, love was still being celebrated, and my dignity remained intact. The day had become more than just a wedding. It was a test of strength, patience, and courage. I realized that while she had tried to control the moment, I had reclaimed it, and the true battle was far from over. Just when I thought I had the upper hand, an unexpected revelation shook me to my core. While helping a relative with seating arrangements, I overheard a whispered conversation between my daughter-in-law and her confidant. They were discussing her plan in astonishing detail, confirming something I hadn't realized. She hadn't acted alone. The scissors, the timing, even subtle manipulations of the ceremony, they were coordinated. Someone else had been feeding her information, guiding her every move. My mind raced. Who else in the family could have been complicit in this plot? The betrayal cut even deeper. I decided to confront her one final time, armed with not just the notes and evidence, but also this new knowledge. "You didn't do this alone, did you?" I asked quietly, forcing her to meet my gaze. Her confident smirk faltered. She hesitated, then admitted, reluctantly, that a close friend had been helping her orchestrate the plan. Their goal wasn't just to embarrass me, it was to test me, to see if I could be broken, and to assert dominance over the family's perception of me. My anger surged, but I kept my composure. I realized something crucial. She had underestimated me at every turn. She thought fear and shame would control me, but instead, I had discovered the full extent of her scheme. I now held all the pieces to expose her, without causing chaos at the wedding. With careful planning, I decided to let the ceremony continue while keeping the evidence safe. She was trapped by her own actions. The truth was mine to reveal at the right moment. My courage and patience had turned the tables completely. As the guests mingled and laughter resumed around us, I felt a surge of satisfaction. The daughter-in-law's plans were unraveling, and she had no idea how much I knew. The endgame was approaching, and I was ready to reclaim not just my dignity, but the respect she had tried to steal. The wedding day reached its pinnacle. My son and his bride exchanged vows. The room filled with love, laughter, and applause. I stood beside them, bald but proud, my composure radiating strength. Every whisper and sidelong glance from my daughter-in-law only reminded me of the trap she had tried to set, and the power I now held over her scheme. I waited for the perfect moment. During the reception, I calmly revealed the truth to my son and a few trusted relatives. The scissors, the hidden notes, and the revelation that her plan had been premeditated. With outside help, shock spread across their faces. The daughter-in-law's confident facade crumbled, as her jealousy and malice were exposed without drama or public humiliation. The beauty of the moment wasn't revenge, it was dignity, patience and truth prevailing. Her accomplice remained unnamed, but the fear in her eyes told me she realized the walls of deception had closed in. She had wanted to control the day, to humiliate me and to assert dominance, but she had failed. My son's wedding was still a celebration, and the love in the room could not be tarnished by one person's envy. For the first time that day, I allowed myself to smile fully. The wedding had become a testament not only to the union of two people, but also to resilience in the face of betrayal. My bald head, once a source of shame, had become a symbol of strength, proof that nothing could break me. As I embraced my son and watched the couple dance, I realized the ultimate lesson: courage, composure, and patience can dismantle even the most calculated schemes. The daughter-in-law had acted out of envy and malice, but I had triumphed, not with anger but with truth. The wedding ended in joy, love, and celebration, and I walked away knowing that no one, no matter how cunning, could ever steal my dignity again. Thank you for watching till the end. Don't forget to like, share with your family and friends, and subscribe to our channel for more stories.